everyone, I'm Terry and welcome to Terry's Tuesday Tips. Today I'm going to be sharing with you how you can access and see all of those fancy curlicues and glyphs that are available with your fonts. I know often many of you purchase those beautiful fonts from either the Silhouette Design Store or Design Bundles or elsewhere, and you can't figure out how to use all the fancy parts. So I'm going to show you today how you can do that. Now, this is a Designer Edition feature, so you must be running Designer Edition or above and version 4.1 or above of the Silhouette Studio software. That's when this feature was first introduced. So I'm going to show you how to use what we call Glyphs and Dingbat fonts, how you can access all the characters in the Dingbat fonts, and you'll be able to make a beautiful design that looks like this with the fonts that you've purchased and have in your Silhouette library. So let's get started. Now, before we go to the Silhouette software, I want to show you a couple of different fonts that I'm going to be demonstrating with today. This one is called, I guess it's Amisteri, and it's one of my personal favorites. I've logged out of my Silhouette Design Store account so that you could see that it is $10 regular priced, but this is the type of thing that I purchase when Silhouette has a sale. So when there's 50% off fonts, you can get this for $5. Personally, I think for all you get, it's worth it for $10, but it's a steal for $5. I'll put the link to this below in the description box. Now, when you scroll down, you have a preview box here. So you can preview the different fonts with your text. There are three parts that come to this: the extras, the hand, and the script. So this allows you to see this, and you can see it here in different sizes if you would like to. There we go. And so you can get an idea of what this font is going to look like. Now, this also shows you the glyphs. Now, this is for the extras. So this is basically a Dingbat font that comes with this. So then these are the glyphs that you would get in that hand. And then here they are in the script. So there are some pretty little curlicues and things like this here that come in this. So when you are previewing or looking at these fonts, you have an opportunity to see everything that comes with them in the Silhouette Design Store. And it shows you here that there are 985 glyphs. Now, let's say you really want to buy this, but it's not on sale right now, and you know that eventually they'll come up with a sale. So if you click right here, this little heart, you have to be logged in. I'm not going to log in right now, but it would put it in my wish list, which would show up. Well, I'll go ahead and log in and show you. So, this is where you sign in right here. So I'm going to sign in, and I'll show you. I won't add that to my wish list. It probably won't let me. No, it won't, because I already own it. So let's go back and find some other font of some type that I don't own. So let's say I wanted to buy this one when it was on sale. You just click right here and it'll show up in your wish list here. So then when Silhouette has a sale, you can say select all and add selected to cart, and then you'll get them when they're on sale. So that's what I wanted to show you about previewing your fonts in Silhouette Studio. Now also, Font Bundles is another place that I buy a lot of fonts, and this is one that I love, and I'm going to show you more again today. Now, they do have a preview text right down here. So if I wanted to type in Terry Johnson, for some reason, they're having website issues here, but this does show you the extras or the glyphs that come along with it. Now, it doesn't have a preview like it does in Silhouette Studio. However, it does give you these pictures. So it tells you that, and you can zoom in, each letter has between 3 and 12 alternatives. So if you're looking for an H, that's all those pretty H's. And then here are some of your extras that come with this font. I think this is a beautiful font, and it has tons of applications. Again, I will put a link to this in the description box below. And it may or may not. It looks like it's on sale right now, so that's good too. All right, so on to the software. So here we are in the software, and you will notice that I've selected the Amisteri script to start with. I'm going to come over here in my left-hand toolbar and select the text tool and click in my workspace. Now I'm going to go ahead and type my name. And I'm going to fill it in temporarily with color just to make it a little bit, whoops, gotta get out of the text edit mode, just to make it a little bit easier for you to see. And I'm going to enlarge it here some. Now I'm going to go back to the text edit mode. And here in this, you cannot see all of those fancy curlicue things that we saw in the software. In the Silhouette Design Store. So in order to access those, we're going to have to go to the Glyph Panel. Now, before we do that, I want to explain. If you look here, you see there's an Amisteri script, an Amisteri hand, and an Amisteri extras, okay? And so this particular one comes with 3 different fonts, and that's what installs. And actually, this one is a Dingbat font. This is your basic font, and then this is your script font with all the fancies. It doesn't always happen that way, and I'll show you in just a few minutes how sometimes you still only get one font, but you have glyphs that you can access. So let's come over here, and again, this is a Designer Edition feature only. If you're not running Designer Edition, you won't have this, and we're going to click on the G. Now, this G gives you a preview of all the glyphs that are available in the software. So, for example, if there were alternate J's, and like there are here, I might want to select another one, although I like this one. Now, down here is where you can size your preview window. If you want it to be smaller, you can, or you can increase it. Personally, I like it to be pretty big so that I can see it. But also, when you hover over each character, you will it enlarges and it makes it a little bit easier to see. So, for example, there really aren't any alternate T's, but as I scroll through, I might find some other alternates down here that I might want to use right in here. So, for example, I don't have any A's in my name, so let's keep on going. Let's see if we can find a fancy I. So, for example, here are different alternative I's. Now, I've been working with this software, so what happens when you're working with it, if you select a glyph, so let's say, for example, I went over and I wanted to use one of these, and I got rid of that I, and I picked this one. And that's how it adds it there, but it also puts it right down here. So these are my recently used glyphs. I don't need it twice. But let's say I did delete that and I wanted to go back to it. You could add it in again, just like that from down here. Okay, so this gives you a little holding panel, so to speak, of the glyphs. So let's say, for example, I was like, well, maybe I don't want that one. Let's get rid of that I, and let's try this one. And I'm like, oh no, that's too much. I don't like that. But I can go back down here to the one I used previously and add that, or I could delete that, and we could go for this fancy one there. So you get the idea that this is kind of a preview that you can select the different glyphs that are in this panel. Now let's keep on going. And let's say perhaps we wanted a fancy, let's see. Here, I'm not going to go with a fancy E or R because I think they're going to interfere with what we already have. So let's keep on going. And probably an N is what I'm going to be wanting. A fancy one at the end there. So I'm going to delete this N. And if I wanted to, I could match kind of the other one. It's a little boring. And let's see what else we got going on here for N's. You got a lot of options for N's at the end there. So you could do something like this. That might be a little too much. It just kind of depends on the look you want. Now, let me show you something about this one. That one's not going to work. This would be something that you would put at the beginning of a word. So a lot of them just have to be previewed in order to see if they are going to work. And I kind of like that one. I think that looks pretty good. I like the way it comes around and goes over the rest of the letters. So this is how I like it. Now, we would want to weld this together, or let me show you. If I selected this font and I went right here and I selected cut, you're going to see that these little chunks would cut out of the letters right here and here. However, instead of welding, you can select cut edge, and if I zoom in, you're going to see that then those chunks do not cut out, and it will only cut around the outside edge. But if for this particular purpose, if I wanted to weld these together, I'm going to go ahead and weld. And then I'm going to, it automatically ungroups, so I'm going to select Command or Control G and select my first name, and then Command or Control G and select all of my second name. You could arrange it something like this. You'd have to play around and get it just like you wanted, but then you would have something a little fancier. Now, remember we talked about those Amistry extras. So let's go back here. Select off, and we're going to select the extras right here. Now, with that selected, this is a Dingbat font. I know some of you have asked me about working with Dingbat fonts. So this is technically what you would call a Dingbat font. So when you see that, you don't want to have to just go over here and type A, B, C, D, whatever, to see what's in it. So what you're going to do is come again to the Glyph tab. And when you select that Glyph tab, and I'm going to make these as large as they will go, you're going to see all of those extras or dingbats show up right here, just like your glyphs. So you can make them a little bit larger by hovering over them like that butterfly. And so if I wanted this butterfly in my name, I could come up here. I don't know, we're going to make it a blue butterfly and rotate that. And let me show you something. I'm going to go back. Do you notice, and this is true of the text too, although this is no longer a text since I welded it. It's a vector. Do you see how there's all this extra space above and below? But this extra space above and below is because technically this is supposed to be a font. And so it's allowing for space above and below for line spacing. So if I right click and ungroup or Command and Control, then that puts the box just around that item and makes it the actual size. So I could take this butterfly and come over here and add it to my name. Something like this. And you could put this right here and make it as big as you want it. And this is a good example of how it's got extra space above and below. And if I ungroup that, it ungroups it from the extra space and gives you the actual sizing. And then we could make this something like this and add it to our design. Now that is one fancy name, but if you liked that, you could group that all together and use it just like that. You could also take these things, like for example this, and use it with another font. So for example, if I wanted to move this off the mat and I wanted to use those extras and select a coffee cup here and double click to get out of the edit and enlarge it, and I could fill that, make it look more like a coffee cup. I could come back over here to the text and select Amistry Hand. Let's see there. Oops, my computer's gonna glitch up on me. Well, we have a different font selected now, so we'll just go with it. And I'm gonna get my text tool, and I could type here, good morning. Now, I want to show you something about this particular font. Now, see how those are overlapping? If I didn't want that, I would simply increase my line spacing. But let me show you about this font here. So we could bring that over here, and I could arrange it and have that go with my coffee. But this font only has one. There is not another one that comes with it. However, it has some glyphs as well. So I can come over here and see if I want to change around anything in this particular font. So this is what I meant when I said that not all of the fonts have more than one showing. Now, for this example, I would probably go ahead and weld that. And then I would group good together without my coffee cup and say Command or Control G, and then I would select everything from morning, Command or Control G, and we could fill that in with some text, and then we could size it. So this is a way that you can use a font with another Dingbat, and they may or may not be in the same family. It doesn't have to be in the same family in order to combine those Dingbats together. So, you know, you could use this, and lo and behold, you've just created your own new little design from two fonts. Like that, something like that, okay? Now, on to the Vondi font that we bought from the Font Bundle site. Now, I will tell you, I neglected to tell you in previously that all of the fonts from the font bundles come with a commercial license. So if you wanted to make something with what we're about to do and sell the objects, not the font, you could do that. And this one does come, oops, sorry about that. The Vondi does come, let's see here, I want to select that one, with an alternative Dingbat. So we have Vondi and Vondi ornaments, okay? So let's start with Vondi, and we're going to say, oops, not that one. Okay, there we go. There we go. And we're going to say Happy Easter. All right, now I want to preview some of my glyphs that I know are available here. So I think first of all, I'm going to make this bigger so you can see it a little bit better. And we will zoom in a little. Now, I'm going to go back to my text edit mode. And I want to delete that H, and we're going to come to the glyphs here, and we're going to start looking for alternate H's that I might want to use. Go through the lowercase and come here to the uppercase. Now, you can see there are quite a few beautiful H's, so it's kind of like we said before, you have to audition. You could like that one, or you might want to go with, let's go and delete this, whoops. go over one and delete this one, or you might want to do something like that. And I'm not sure I would do that one. I mean, it's okay if you wanted to weld that, but let's go with one above. How about this one? Okay, I like that one, and that's what we're going to go with for right now. And then I'm actually going to go back up and see if we can't find another E. Now, E's are not quite as pretty, and they don't have as many options. So I think I'm going to go with this one. Yeah. But I want to fancy this up even more. So we're going to go back up here to our lowercase letters. And let's see what we can find that will work. We could come over. The only problem about adding the P's is that there are 2 P's. And if I put 2 of them together, then that doesn't work. So we're going to go back and just use our regular P's. But let's see if we can't find a pretty Y. And there are several different Y's. So I'm going to delete this Y. Whoops. And I didn't want that. And select maybe this one. Now I know that overlaps our Easter, so we can fix that because I'm going to separate. Let's try this one. That one's pretty too. Okay, I like that one, and it doesn't interfere with Easter. So let's come over here, and I'm going to fancy up my T. I happen to know from working previously that there is a pretty T up here that I want to use. Let's try. There's a couple. You could go with this one. That one looks nice. And then let's see what we got in the way of R's. Not sure. Nope. We're going to go with regular old R. Okay, so we have a very fancy Happy Easter here now. I'm going to fill that in with color. And I'm going to ungroup. Now I'm doing that before I weld. Well, we could. Let's go back. I'm going to undo. And I am going to weld because that automatically ungroups. So I want to select all of Easter, Command or Control G, and group that. Whoops, I missed some of it, apparently. So let's try again. Make sure we get it all. Not the happy. And we're going to group that together. So I'm going to bring this. And before I do anything else, I want to group all of happy together. All right, so now I'm going to zoom back out on my page. And we could put this together. It's a little fancy here. Something like this. So let's say you're working on a card. This Y might be a little fancy for this. And so I like that kind of positioned this way, about like that. We're going to add this together and group. Now, I'm going to come back over here and I'm going to go to my ornaments. Remember, we had another set here of ornaments. This has a lot of pretty things in it. And again, we're going to go to our glyphs to audition these. So as you go through, you could select any number of these pretty glyphs here and create either a frame or a border for your text here, something like this. It would really kind of be up to you. So just for our purposes here today, I'm going to go ahead so that I can show you one other thing, and I'm going to select these. So I'm going to start with, we got to come over here, get our text tool, because remember, technically this is a font, and then we're going to select this one. So I'm going to double click on these to get them out of our text edit mode, make them larger, and I think I'm going to separate them apart. So in order to do that, we're going to ungroup. Now that, if you can see, puts those together like this. So let's say we were going to do this and make a card. Let's select this one and this one. Come up here and we're going to align, and this time I think I'm going to align them at the top so I know that the tops are even together, and that looks pretty good. But now what we need to do is, with those two together, I want to duplicate that on the bottom. So we're finished here with our text tool. I'm going to come over to my replicate window and we are going to mirror below. So that gives me an exact copy of that, but it is reversed and below. So I'm going to group these two together at the bottom, group these two together at the top, Command or Control G. There's a lot of ways you can do it. And let's see how we want to space these. Let's bring this up a little bit. I want to make sure that they are aligned, so we are going to align these in the center this way, and it looks pretty good. Now my text is over. Let's go ahead and I'm not going to group these together yet because we may need to move them, but we'll make them another pretty color. So let's say I wanted to move I think what I'm going to do with my Happy Easter, make it just a little bit smaller. So now I could go ahead and group these two together. I might move this up just a little bit more. Again, select both of them and align there. So I'm sure that they're, and align them together. And now I'm going to group. And I could then, at this point, I don't know if this will look good. We'll see. Centered. No. See, that's not going to work because it's going to overlap. But we know it's it. So what I'm going to do is just move this down till it looks pleasing to the eye. And there you go. You could use this for a card. So this is how you can use your fonts and your dingbats to make beautiful designs without ever buying a thing extra. There is so much value in working with your fonts, and you can see what we have created all right here with 2 fonts. Now, see how easy that was? Aren't you glad that you have Designer Edition? So, if you liked this video and you found it helpful, I would really appreciate it if you would subscribe below and click the little bell to receive notifications when I post new videos, and give it a thumbs up. That helps me get seen on YouTube and really helps me out a lot. So I appreciate it. All right, I hope it was helpful. I can't wait to see what you create. Until next time.